I can't wait to vote for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. But if Donald Trump believes that Kevin McCarthy should be Speaker of the House, then Donald Trump is wrong. Oftentimes, Kevin McCarthy is the embodiment of the worst features of the Congress. I've seen the way the guy acts in leadership, and there's no gusto there. There's no strength. There's only slower surrender than yesterday. And I don't want to be in Congress if that's the case.
Slower surrender than yesterday. That is Matt Gaetz, who represents the 1st District in the state of Florida. And he is on the warpath for Kevin McCarthy when Congress does return for the 118th Congress next term in January. The first order of business for Republicans will be voting on who their speaker is. Kevin McCarthy is trying to corral the votes. You see there that he does not have Matt Gaetz' vote, nor does he have the votes of some of the other sort of Freedom Caucus or far right members of Congress. But Matt Gaetz today did not pull any punches. Again, he had an op-ed in the Daily Caller saying, among other things, every single Republican in Congress knows that Kevin does not actually believe anything. He has no ideology. Some conservatives are using this fact to convince themselves that he is the right leader for the moment. As McCarthy is so weak, he'll promise anything to anyone. Gaetz goes on to say, as his mentor recently confessed, and he's talking about that, he lies, he'll change the lie if necessary. McCarthy doesn't just respond to pressure from the right. During several important junctures in the past decade, we've seen Kevin McCarthy, sorry, Kevin. I look at that, Kevin McCarthy. I did what I always make fun of people for doing, but Kevin McCarthy. So he went after Kevin McCarthy for, among other things, voting on a $40 billion, which turned into about 46 or 47 in the Senate version, $1 billion aid package for Ukraine, his support for a no-fly zone over Syria during Obama's administration, allegedly buying into what he calls the Russia hoax, and then his vote in favor of removing Confederate monuments from the U.S. Capitol building. A lot of that has already happened, and these are the sort of things that a conservative like Matt Gaetz doesn't like to see. Gaetz goes on in this op-ed in the Daily Caller saying leaders don't wait to see what the crowd wants. Leaders also don't take orders from lobbyists. McCarthy, who was previously honored as one of the tech industry's best friends in Congress, opposes legislation that would break up companies like Amazon and Apple. Why exactly, again, are we supposed to coordinate a man whose top advisor is a corporate lobbyist for the likes of Pfizer? So he is on a warpath for Kevin McCarthy is Matt Gaetz. He has a big microphone in the media. He also has one in the very right wing of the House caucus there. Cenk, this is exactly what Kevin McCarthy didn't want, but it is not surprising in a fractured Republican caucus.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen when they have this vote because it looks like McCarthy is going to be blocked. And then I don't know what step 2 is. And I'm not sure that Matt Gaetz knows what step 2 is. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But first I want to tell you, this story is complicated because Matt Gaetz is right about half the things he says. And it gets more complicated because he's so overwhelmingly wrong about the other half. So when he says, oh, McCarthy shouldn't take down Confederate monuments, shouldn't agree to take them down. Well, that paints the Republican Party as more radical, which it is, but it would paint it that way. And they just lost elections in Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and all these places because they're considered too radical. So Gaetz's ideas about how Republicans can win better is just flat out wrong. And it's not good for the country. The vaccine mandates is more radical right nonsense, never agreeing to compromise on any bills. So the government shuts down is radical nonsense. But on the other hand, when he talks about the special interests that influence Kevin McCarthy, that is 100% true. When he says Kevin McCarthy is a well-known liar who lies about everything, that is 100% true. When he talks about lobbyists and Pfizer influencing Kevin McCarthy, that's also 100% true. And part of the reason now other Republicans are getting mad at Gaetz and Boebert who are on that side, but curiously not Marjorie Taylor Greene, we can come back to that. But they're getting mad at Gaetz because they're like, hey, we all take money from Pfizer. We all take money from corporate lobbyists. What are you doing here? But that's why I actually really do want to, in all earnestness, give Gaetz half credit here because he does not take any PAC money, and you can see here that he's free from their influence, and it's leaving a mark. And I applaud that part.
I don't know why you give him half credit. He should get full credit here. I mean, on that score anyway. And
on that score, give him full credit. Yeah. But on his argument against McCarthy, half of it is nonsense.
Well, of course it's nonsense, and it's nonsense. They delight in fracturing and having power. You'll remember that the last time McCarthy almost became speaker, they couldn't agree on McCarthy. McCarthy withdrew his name in the speaker's race, and Paul Ryan became the speaker. That was in the wake of John Boehner sort of being forced out to a degree, and then Paul Ryan came on, and now Ryan supports McCarthy. But again, if you look at the scoreboard, and that's what Gaetz points out here in graphic number 6, it says in sports, when the team loses games it is supposed to win, the coach gets fired. In business, when earnings vastly miss projections, the CEO is replaced. In Republican politics, a promotion shouldn't be failure's chaser. Now, Kevin McCarthy was the minority leader when Nancy Pelosi, as she has been speaker. I don't know what the equation here is about being winner or loser. They now control the House, and I don't see that read. But from a very conservative standpoint, they're saying that he had to cave in order to get where he needed to go. But what this highlights more than anything, and it's the horse race for McCarthy is going to be difficult, but this highlights the kind of fracture that exists between the very right of a party that seems at its most moderate to be way to the right of the country, but they are sort of imploding, and it is a kind of a blueprint for what their presidential election looks like as well, with a lot of people, Gaetz among them, as you heard at the beginning, supporting Donald Trump in 2024, having supported him all the way since, and then other people like DeSantis or Nikki Haley or Kristi Noem or Tim Scott, whoever runs, trying to hang on to that moderate part of the party. And this is problematic at every turn, both in legislation and in elections.
Yeah, so look, he might be a little bit more than half right, because it's also true that, McCarthy lost the elections in the House. He was supposed to win by a much larger majority. He was supposed to have a 20-seat lead. They only have a 4-seat lead. So you are rewarding losses, and then that doesn't make sense. On the other hand, what Matt Gaetz doesn't tell you is the reason they lost a lot of those races is because they listened to Matt Gaetz's hero, Donald Trump. And so that one's also complicated. But here again, I'll give credit to Matt Gaetz. And a transition to, okay, but what's going to happen? He actually proposed a number of anti-corruption legislations, Gaetz did, that are pretty good, that are like 80% good. And so if I was Gaetz and you really meant it, I would say, you know what? I'm gonna block McCarthy's leadership here. And I think that's just using your leverage and power. I tell progressives to do it all the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But it appears that he doesn't have a plan for who would replace McCarthy, or what you do with that extra leverage, which as I yelled at the fake left, et cetera, who were trying to do that ridiculous, force to vote stuff with the speakership of Pelosi. I was like, yes, but you have to have a plan. What do you do with the leverage? What do you do with the power? Who do you want as speaker? And I actually have an idea. In this case, what Gaetz should do if he wanted to be productive is say, look, after they beat him in the first round of voting, come back and go, all right, we'll vote for you, but only if you agree to introduce those anti-corruption bills. And that would get something significant and real done. And then I would give Gaetz a ton of credit for that. But I don't know if he really means it, so we'll find out.
Yeah, we will. On the other side, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, his partner in crime along the way in terms of MAGA and conservatism. And very quickly, we'll tell you this, she published, and give her the time, in Daily Caller as well. If Republicans want to get things done, there's only one choice for House Speaker. Who do you think she picked? Kevin McCarthy, actually. One thing in number 8 here, we'll do very quickly, and then we'll go to a break. Perhaps more than any Republican, I'm ready for our majority because I believe there's real work to be done to save our country. And the last thing I want is everything blown up on day one simply because a few dislike Kevin McCarthy, who is promoting the very agenda they believe in. And so as you see that, you see there's even fractures among the people that fracture, and this is going to be very messy, whatever happens, and we'll have to see when that vote happens after the first of the year.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.